In the heart of Kensington, a refined elderly woman lives peacefully among memories, flowers, and longing. But everything changes when a charming woman enters her home and the life of her only son. With perfect smiles and hidden intentions, she begins to erase little by little the traces of the true matriarch. What seemed like love turns into a threat, and the greatest danger arises when no one else believes you. If this story interested you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tell us which city you are watching us from. We continue. I promise this will be the best story you will ever hear in your life. High in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, the Albury Mansion stood imposing. Mrs. Teresa Cavendish of Albury, 75, a retired professor, sat on the veranda overlooking the tropical garden. The sound of water from the fountain brought her peace as she watched the hummingbirds. The rosewood cane beside her was more than just physical support. It represented the dignity with which she faced time. "Mrs. Teresa, I've brought your chamomile tea," said Zelda, approaching with a silver tray. At 62, Zelda Perkins had worked in the house for over 3 decades. Since the passing of Dr. Augustus Cavendish of Albury, a respected accountant throughout Los Angeles, she had become not just an employee, but a silent guardian of the matriarch. "Thank you, Zelda. What would I do without you?" Mrs. Teresa smiled, her still vibrant eyes reflecting the intelligence that shaped generations of students at UCLA, where she taught American literature. "You don't even need to thank me. Dr. Augustus, God rest his soul, made me swear I would take care of you as if you were my own mother." Zelda adjusted Mrs. Teresa's golden spectacles. "It's been 5 years since Augustus left us, but it feels like yesterday." Mrs. Teresa sighed, caressing the wedding ring she never took off. "At least our Raphael is carrying on his father's legacy." Raphael Cavendish of Albury, the couple's only child, had transformed his father's traditional accounting firm into a financial technology company that revolutionized the market. Albury Tech had become a national benchmark in digital solutions for financial management, preserving the ethical values his father so cherished. Inside the mansion's office, Raphael, 45, was ending a video conference. Tall, with graying hair at his temples, he maintained the elegant posture inherited from his father and the captivating gaze of his mother. After hanging up, he walked to the veranda. "Mother, you're out here so early." He kissed her forehead. "Your garden is beautiful, son. These orchids remind me of the ones your father cultivated in Aspen." Raphael smiled. "When are we going to the Aspen house?" "It's been a while since we spent a weekend there." "You've been so busy. That house holds so many memories," Mrs. Teresa replied, her eyes welling up. "I promise we'll go soon. By the way, I have some news to tell you." Raphael sat beside his mother. "I met someone special." Mrs. Teresa's face lit up. "Really? Who is the young lady?" "Her name is Christine Montgomery. She's an international marketing consultant. We met at that innovation event in San Jose 3 months ago." "3 months? And you're only telling me now?" "I wanted to be sure before introducing her." "It's something serious?" Raphael hesitated. "I've never felt this way about anyone, Mother." Zelda, who was arranging the cushions, subtly raised her eyebrows. In 3 decades of service, she had never seen her employer so enchanted. "Then I want to meet her. Invite her to dinner." "I already have. She's coming tonight." Raphael seemed as nervous as a teenager. "I need everything to be perfect." "Don't worry, Mr. Raphael. I'll make that lobster thermidor you like so much," Zelda promised, retreating to the kitchen. That night, the Albury mansion received special lighting. Mrs. Teresa chose her pearl set, an anniversary gift from Augustus. Raphael paced nervously in the hall when the doorbell rang. At the door appeared a woman of striking beauty. Christine Montgomery, 38, wore a red dress that accentuated her perfect silhouette. Her black hair cascaded over her shoulders. Her captivating smile revealed perfectly aligned teeth. Her eyes, however, calculated every detail of the mansion as she entered. "Mrs. Teresa, I finally meet you. Raphael talks about you so much." Christine embraced the matriarch with studied affection. "What a stunning mansion! It must have history in every corner." "Yes, my dear." "Each piece tells a story of our family." Mrs. Teresa smiled cordially, although something in the visitor's gaze unsettled her. During dinner, Christine charmed everyone with stories of her international travels, mentions of famous personalities, and knowledge of wines and art. She spoke English, French, and Italian fluently, and had just returned from a stint in Milan. Her charisma seemed irresistible. "And do you intend to continue with international consulting now that you're in the United States?" Mrs. Teresa asked, pouring herself water. "Actually, I'm thinking of establishing my own company here. The US has incredible potential that many don't see." Christine intertwined her fingers with Raphael's. "Your son has helped me better understand the national market." Raphael's loving gaze did not hide his admiration. Zelda, serving dessert, noticed how Christine dominated the conversation, subtly directing it to topics that favored her. After dinner, while Raphael showed Christine the art collection, Zelda helped Mrs. Teresa retire. "What did you think of her, Zelda?" the elderly woman asked in a low tone. "Very elegant and intelligent, Mrs. Teresa." Zelda hesitated. "Perhaps even too much so." "What do you mean?" "I can't explain. She seems to study everything around her. I noticed how her eyes detailed the paintings, the silverware, even your diamond bracelet." "You've always been good at reading people, Zelda," Mrs. Teresa sighed. "But let's give it time. Raphael seems so happy." "Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Raphael's happiness is what matters." What neither of them imagined was the speed with which the romance would advance. In just 2 weeks, Raphael announced their engagement. In 2 months, one of the most luxurious weddings Bel Air had ever seen was being prepared. The ceremony at the Cedars estate gathered the Los Angeles business elite. Christine, dazzling in an exclusive Valentino, appeared in society pages as the new jewel of Los Angeles society. After a honeymoon in the Maldives, the couple returned to live in the Albury mansion. Christine, now Mrs. Cavendish of Albury, brought with her an air of renewal that seemed irresistible. Soon she began to suggest small changes, new curtains, rearrangements in the decor, different menus. "The house needs to breathe, Raphael. There's too much heavy energy accumulated," she would say, as she removed old photographs to make way for contemporary design objects. Raphael, blinded by love, agreed to everything. Mrs. Teresa silently observed the transformations, feeling increasingly like a stranger in her own home. Zelda, in turn, kept a close eye on the new mistress, especially when Raphael was not present. It was on an autumn afternoon, when Raphael had traveled on business to San Francisco, that Zelda witnessed the first crack in Christine's mask of perfection. While serving Mrs. Teresa her usual tea in the library, she found Christine examining documents in the adjacent office. "Excuse me, ma'am. I didn't know you were here," Zelda said, surprised. Christine quickly closed the drawer. "Just looking for a pen, Zelda." Her tone, previously always mellifluous, now sounded sharp. "Why do you still serve that horrible tea to Mrs. Teresa? She needs something healthier." "The doctor recommended this tea for her circulation, ma'am." "Doctors?" Christine rolled her eyes. "Mrs. Teresa needs to modernize. Starting tomorrow, she will drink green tea. It's much better." The following week, the first signs of change became more evident. Mrs. Teresa, sitting on the veranda, where she always read her morning newspaper, frowned when she realized that the publication had not been delivered as usual. "Zelda, have you seen my Los Angeles Times?" the elderly woman asked, adjusting her spectacles. "Didn't you know?" Mrs. Christine canceled the subscription. Zelda hesitated before continuing. "She said newspapers collect dust, and that you can follow the news on the tablet she bought. But I like my printed newspaper. I've been reading it for over 50 years. "I know, Mrs. Teresa. I'll try to talk to her." Zelda found Christine in the recently installed gym in the mansion's annex. Dressed in Italian designer workout clothes, she exercised vigorously while speaking on the phone in fluent English. "Excuse me, Mrs. Christine." Christine raised a finger, signaling to wait. After ending the call, she asked with evident irritation, "What is it, Zelda?" "I'm busy. It's about Mrs. Teresa's newspaper. She misses it very much. That's just a collection of germs and dust." Christine took a sip of water. "Besides, her eyes are no longer suitable for reading on paper. The tablet has zoom. But Mrs. Teresa doesn't know how to use these modern devices properly." "Then it's time to learn, don't you think?" Christine's smile did not reach her eyes. "Or would you prefer her to become even more obsolete?" "This is for her, Zelda, to keep her updated." That afternoon, when Raphael returned from the office, Mrs. Teresa timidly mentioned the newspaper issue. "Son, I miss my Los Angeles Times. Could you renew the subscription? Before Raphael could answer, Christine intervened. Darling, we've talked about this. We bought a state-of-the-art tablet for your mother. It's much better for her vision. Chris is right, Mother. Raphael kissed the elderly woman's forehead. Technology is there to make our lives easier. I'll teach you how to use it. You'll love it. Mrs. Teresa merely nodded, feeling misunderstood. That night, alone in her room, she confessed to Zelda, I feel like they're trying to erase my habits, my preferences, as if I'm disappearing. Don't say that, Mrs. Teresa. Mr. Raphael loves you. He's just enchanted with Mrs. Christine and wants to please her. The following days brought new alterations. The television programming in Mrs. Teresa's room was restricted so as not to disturb her sleep. Her rosewood cane, an inheritance from her husband, mysteriously disappeared, replaced by a modern cane more ergonomic. The living room television, where the matriarch watched soap operas with Zelda, was moved to the couple's bedroom to free up space. Old photos were stored in albums in the attic. One Sunday morning, during family lunch, Mrs. Teresa noticed something different in the taste of her juice. Zelda, this juice tastes different. I prepared it, Mrs. Teresa. Christine smiled. I added a supplement to strengthen your bones. It's imported, very expensive, but what won't we do for family health, right? Mrs. Teresa took another sip, tasting a bitter flavor that she disguised with a smile. Raphael seemed so pleased with his wife's attitude that she didn't want to contradict him. Darling, I forgot to mention, Raphael addressed Christine. Dr. Anthony called about those company documents. He said we need to regularize the transfer of shares. What shares, son? Mrs. Teresa asked, intrigued. It's a boring business matter, Mother. Raphael evaded. Nothing important. Christine looked at her mother-in-law with renewed interest. Actually, Teresa, it's the company shares. You still hold the majority of them, don't you? As an inheritance from Dr. Augustus. Yes, your father left everything organized. Mrs. Teresa smiled proudly. Although Raphael manages everything, Augustus believed I should maintain formal control of the shares, a kind of family tradition. An almost imperceptible gleam passed through Christine's eyes. Fascinating how traditional your husband was. After lunch, when Raphael retired to the office, Christine remained in the living room with her mother-in-law. Her tone, previously sweet, acquired a metallic note. Teresa, don't you think it's time to simplify things? These shares should pass directly to Raphael. My husband had reasons to structure it this way, Christine. And it always worked well. Of course, but times change. Christine adjusted a strand of hair. Raphael works so hard, worries so much about you. It would be a relief if he had total control. I don't understand why this is relevant now. Raphael has always made the business decisions. Christine smiled, but her eyes remained cold, just thinking about the family's future. Our family. That night, Zelda found Mrs. Teresa restless in her room. Something wrong, Mrs. Teresa? Zelda, I have a strange feeling. The elderly woman seemed worried. Ever since I drank that juice, I've had a bitter taste in my mouth and my stomach feels upset. Zelda frowned. Let me see if I can get you some fennel tea. Before leaving, she hesitated. Mrs. Teresa, do you trust me? More than anyone in this house now that my son is so distant. Then allow me to save a little of that juice. I have a nephew who works in a clinical analysis laboratory. We can check if there's anything unusual. Mrs. Teresa nodded, though she seemed reluctant to accept the gravity of the situation. The next morning, Mrs. Teresa slipped on the hallway rug. The fall wasn't serious, but it left her shaken. Curiously, the rug wasn't there the night before. How strange, this rug, Zelda commented, helping her mistress up. Christine had it placed there. Raphael appeared worried. She said it would make the hallway cozier. Mother, are you all right? I am, son. Just a scare. Christine emerged, impeccably dressed to go out. Teresa! How careless. You need to use your new cane. Her tone of concern sounded rehearsed. Raphael, we need to think about hiring a nurse. Your mother is becoming increasingly fragile. I don't need a nurse, Mrs. Teresa protested. Zelda helps me perfectly. Zelda isn't a health professional, dear. Christine's condescending tone irritated the elderly woman. And she's also getting old. It's not fair to overload her. Raphael, torn between his wife and his mother, merely sighed. Let's take it easy. For now, Mother, please always use your cane. When the couple left, Zelda examined the rug. Mrs. Teresa, see how it's placed. Right on the bend of the hallway, where you always pass when leaving your room. The elderly woman nodded, a chill running down her spine. Zelda, do you think that... No, it can't be. I'll write all this down, Mrs. Teresa. Date, time, what happened. My friend Silas, the one who works with Dr. Victor Thorne, the attorney, said we should record anything strange. Silas? You talked to him about this? Forgive me, but I'm worried. I only told him the basics without accusing anyone. He recommended documenting everything. The following days brought new accidents. Mrs. Teresa's reading glasses were replaced by an apparently identical pair, but which caused her headaches and dizziness. The sugar in her tea had a strange taste, leaving her blood pressure altered. The bathroom floor was inexplicably wet one morning, almost causing another fall. Zelda meticulously recorded each incident in a notebook hidden in her clothes drawer. She also collected samples, a little of the suspicious sugar, the liquid from the special juice, even discrete photographs of the strategically placed rugs. One afternoon, when Raphael was on a business trip to Washington, D.C., Mrs. Teresa heard raised voices in the office. Approaching silently, she recognized Christine's voice on the phone. I don't care how long it takes. I need those documents ready. Yes, a complete transfer of the shares to his name. Then I'll take care of the rest, understood? No, she won't cause problems. I'm handling it. Believe me, soon we won't have to worry about the old woman. Mrs. Teresa's heart raced. She slowly backed away, leaning against the wall. When she reached her room, her hands were trembling. The overheard conversation confirmed Mrs. Teresa's fears. Sitting in her favorite armchair, she watched the fine rain falling on the garden, remembering the past few months. How had she not noticed before? The signs were all there. Christine's sudden interest in the company shares, the increasingly frequent accidents, the gradual isolation that distanced her from her son. Zelda, I need to tell you something. Mrs. Teresa called the employee as soon as she saw her enter the room with afternoon tea. After recounting what she had heard, she saw Zelda's face turn pale. I knew it! That woman is plotting something, Mrs. Teresa. My nephew analyzed the sugar I saved. He found a strange substance that can alter blood pressure. My God, so I'm not imagining things. Mrs. Teresa covered her face with her hands. How am I going to tell Raphael? He's completely enchanted by her. We need more proof, Mrs. Teresa, and we also need professional help. Dr. Victor Thorne. He was a close friend of Augustus. Always handled the family's legal affairs, the elderly woman decided. Call him immediately. Ask him to come discreetly when Christine isn't here. Dr. Victor Thorne, a 68-year-old attorney with decades of experience in family and corporate law, arrived the next morning while Christine was at her weekly day spa. Tall, with white hair and thin-framed glasses, he carried a time-worn leather briefcase. Mrs. Teresa, it's a pleasure to see you again, although I regret the circumstances. They met in the library, a place rarely frequented by Christine, who considered books outdated things. Dr. Thorne, thank you for coming so quickly. What is happening in this house? The attorney asked, getting straight to the point as Zelda served coffee. Mrs. Teresa narrated all the events of the past few months. The accidents, the medication changes, the adulterated sugar, the derogatory comments, the systematic isolation, and finally, the telephone conversation she had overheard. And I fear it's getting worse, Dr. Thorne, she concluded. Yesterday, Christine insisted I undergo new medical exams. She said I was showing signs of senility. The elderly woman's voice trembled. Raphael seemed to believe her. Absurd! The attorney exclaimed. I've known you for over 3 decades. Your mind is as sharp as ever. The problem is I don't have concrete proof. Mrs. Teresa sighed. Just coincidences that in isolation could be explained. And Raphael. He's blind with love. Zelda intervened, showing her notebook and the collected samples. I kept all this, doctor. And my nephew from the lab confirmed strange substances in the sugar. Dr. Thorne examined the material carefully. This is a start. But we need more. He reflected for a moment. Zelda, keep documenting everything. Dates, times, witnesses. And try to record some conversations if possible. How will we protect Mrs. Teresa while this is happening? Zelda asked, worried. First, don't accept anything that comes directly from Christine's hands. Food, drink, medicine, nothing. Second, avoid being alone with her. And third, the attorney looked directly at Mrs. Teresa, you need to talk to Raphael, not to accuse Christine yet, but to reaffirm your lucidity. I'm afraid of losing my son, Dr. Thorne. I understand your fear, Mrs. Teresa, but we've known Raphael since he was a boy. Beneath the enchantment, he is still the same upright man Augustus and you raised. After the attorney left, Mrs. Teresa felt simultaneously relieved to have shared her burden and terrified by what she was facing. Her own home had become a minefield. That night, when Raphael returned from work, Mrs. Teresa asked to speak with him alone. Christine tried to intervene, claiming her mother-in-law needed to rest, but Raphael insisted. "Mother, you seem worried," he said, sitting beside her on the bedroom sofa. "Did something happen?" "Son, I feel like we're drifting." "Apart." Mrs. Teresa carefully chose her words. "Since your wedding, we've barely talked." "I'm sorry, Mother. Work has demanded a lot, and with Christine reorganizing the house, he hesitated. "Raphael, you know I've always respected your space and your choices. But I need you to see me, really see me." She held her son's hands. "I'm getting older, yes, but I am not senile. I am not confused. And I feel like there's something strange happening in this house." Raphael seemed uncomfortable. "Christine mentioned that you've been imagining things." "See? That's exactly it. She says I imagine things, that I'm confused, but I'm not." The elderly woman's eyes filled with tears. "Son, do you believe that your mother, the woman who taught for 40 years at the university, who managed this house and helped your father build what we have today, would suddenly lose her sanity?" The man seemed shaken by those words. "Of course not, Mother. It's just that—" Christine worries. "She wants what's best for you." "Raphael, can you schedule an appointment with Dr. Anthony, my trusted neurologist? I want to do a complete checkup. If he attests to any cognitive problem, I will accept all of Christine's recommendations without question." "That's fair," Raphael agreed, kissing his mother's forehead. "I'll schedule it for this week." That sincere conversation brought a glimmer of hope to Mrs. Teresa. For a moment she glimpsed the son she knew, not the enchanted man of recent months. The results of the neurological exams did not surprise Dr. Anthony. Mrs. Teresa has cognitive abilities above average for her age. Excellent memory, intact reasoning, no signs of dementia or confusion. Raphael received the report with evident relief, but Christine did not hide her irritation. "Doctors can be wrong. I see how she acts when you are not home, Raphael." "What do you mean by that?" Raphael asked, surprised by his wife's bitter tone. "She sabotages me all the time, undoes my arrangements, criticizes my decisions for the house, and that Zelda is always whispering with her, the two of them plotting against me." "Christine, you're exaggerating. My mother and Zelda have always been like that, close. Too close. And don't you see how your mother tries to humiliate me? The endless stories about how wonderful Augustus was, how you were an exemplary boy before you met me." Raphael tried to calm her, but the seed of doubt was planted. The next morning, after a night of arguing with his wife, he seemed distant during breakfast. That afternoon, a new incident occurred. Mrs. Teresa went down to the garden, where she liked to feed the birds. The pool, recently renovated at Christine's insistence, sparkled under the autumn sun. "Mrs. Teresa, what a surprise to find you here." Christine's voice suddenly came from behind her. Her daughter-in-law wore an elegant swimsuit and sunglasses. "Just enjoying the sun, Christine. You shouldn't be alone here. It's dangerous near the pool. I've always liked the garden, and I can take care of myself perfectly well." Christine smiled, but her eyes remained cold behind the dark lenses. "You know what would be wonderful? You learning to swim. You could do hydrotherapy. Excellent for your joints." A chill ran down Mrs. Teresa's spine. Everyone in the family knew of her fear of water since childhood, when she had almost drowned in a river in the Appalachian Mountains. "You know perfectly well that I'm afraid of water, Christine. Fears are meant to be overcome, aren't they?" Christine approached, the smile never leaving her face. "Come, let me show you how pleasant the water is today." She extended her hand. "No, thank you." Mrs. Teresa recoiled, feeling her heart race. "I insist." Christine took another step forward, blocking the way back to the house. "Oh, I think I dropped my earring on the edge of the pool. Could you help me look for it?" "Christine, please. You know I don't see well up close without my glasses. But they are real diamonds, a gift from Raphael. He would be so sad if I lost them. Come, just a quick look." Reluctantly, Mrs. Teresa approached the edge. Christine leaned beside her, whispering, "You know, Teresa, it would be so much simpler if you cooperated. The company shares the house. Everything could smoothly pass to Raphael. To us. So that's it. You want our assets. Raphael deserves all of this, and I deserve Raphael. You've lived your life. Now it's our turn." At that moment, Mrs. Teresa felt a slight pressure on her back. It wasn't quite a push, but a clear suggestion of what could happen. Her body froze in terror. "Mrs. Teresa!" "Mrs. Christine," Zelda's voice sounded from the terrace. She was approaching with a tray. "I brought fresh lemonade." Christine quickly moved away, the professional smile back on her face. "How kind, Zelda. We were just commenting on how hot it is today." The look Zelda gave her mistress communicated everything. She had seen enough to understand what was happening. That night, in her room, Mrs. Teresa prayed for the first time in years. She prayed not just for her own protection, but for wisdom for her son, that he might see beyond the beauty and charm of the woman he had married. Raphael Cavendish of Albury had always been a perceptive man. In the corporate world, he was known for his ability to read people, identify hidden interests, perceive nuances in negotiations that went unnoticed by others. However, in his personal life, something had clouded this ability in recent months. Sitting in his office at Albury Tech, he contemplated the family photograph on his desk. His father, Augustus, always so upright and direct. His mother, Teresa, with that wise and gentle gaze, and himself younger before meeting Christine. Christine. The name echoed in his mind now in a different way. "Mr. Albury, your video conference with the investors starts in 5 minutes, his assistant announced through the half-open door. "Thank you. Sonia, I'll be ready." But his mind wandered far from the spreadsheets and charts prepared for the meeting. He thought about the conversation he had had with his mother days earlier, about Dr. Anthony's report confirming her full cognitive capacity, and about Christine's strange reaction to that news. Why had his wife been so displeased with the positive results? Shouldn't she be happy to know that her mother-in-law was well? The meeting proceeded mechanically. Raphael presented data, answered questions, discussed projections, all with his usual efficiency but without his usual enthusiasm. At the end, he remained alone in the conference room, organizing his thoughts. His cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Zelda. "Mr. Raphael, can we talk when you get back? It's about your mother, urgent." A knot formed in his stomach. Zelda rarely contacted him directly, and never with such urgency. Something was wrong. "Sonia, cancel my afternoon appointments. I need to resolve a family matter." Arriving home earlier than usual, Raphael found the mansion silent. Christine had gone out for important meetings, according to the driver. He went directly to the service area, where he found Zelda ironing clothes. "Zelda, I received your message. What happened to my mother?" The employee looked around, making sure they were alone. "Mr. Raphael, forgive me for bothering you at work, but I can no longer bear to see what is happening in this house." She then recounted the incidents of recent months, the strategically placed rugs, the adulterated sugar, the swapped glasses, the pressure for Mrs. Teresa to approach the pool, even knowing her fear of water. She showed her notebook, the collected samples, and even discreet photos she had taken with her simple cell phone. And yesterday, "Mr. Raphael was the worst. Mrs. Christine took your mother to the edge of the pool, saying she had lost an earring. But I saw through the window how she positioned herself. It looked like she was going to push her." Zelda's voice faltered. "If I hadn't appeared at that moment..." Raphael felt his blood run cold. "Zelda, these are very serious accusations. Are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Can there be no mistake? Mr. Raphael, I have served this family for 35 years. I saw you grow up, helped take care of your mother after your father passed. I would never invent something like this." Tears streamed down the woman's wrinkled face. "And I'm not the only one who noticed. Dr. Victor Thorne is also aware." "Dr. Thorne? He was here?" "Yes, sir. Your mother called him for guidance. He recommended that we document everything." Raphael sat down, feeling the weight of the revelations. "Why didn't my mother tell me about this?" "She tried, Mr. Raphael, several times. But you were blind, he completed, the hard truth hitting him like a punch, too enchanted to see the obvious. At that moment they heard footsteps. Mrs. Teresa approached with her slow gait, leaning on the modern cane she detested. Upon seeing her son, her eyes lit up. "Raphael, what a pleasant surprise to see you home at this hour. Mother, we need to talk." He stood up, gently guiding her to the small room adjacent to the kitchen, a place Christine rarely frequented. "Zelda just told me some very disturbing things." The elderly woman's face paled. "Son, why didn't you tell me all this before? About your suspicions? About calling Dr. Thorne?" "I tried, Raphael, but you seemed so happy." And Christine always managed to make my concerns sound like exaggerations of a confused old woman. Mrs. Teresa sighed. "Besides, I feared you would have to choose. And I didn't want to put you in that position. Mother, there is no choice here. You are my mother, the woman who raised me, who was always by my side." Raphael held the elderly woman's fragile hands, noticing how they were thinner, more delicate than a few months ago. "Forgive me for not realizing it sooner. Love sometimes blinds us, son. Don't blame yourself." "No, Mother. I was trained to recognize signs, to identify hidden interests in negotiations. How could I not see this in my own home?" The conversation was interrupted by the sound of the main door. Christine was arriving, her high heels echoing on the marble of the hall. Raphael exchanged a look with his mother. "Stay here with Zelda, I'll talk to her." However, before Raphael could reach the hall, Christine appeared at the kitchen door, surprised to find her husband there. She wore an elegant outfit, impeccable makeup, her characteristic French perfume. "Raphael, what a surprise!" She smiled, approaching to kiss him. "Why are you back so early? Did something happen?" He subtly recoiled. "We need to talk, Christine." "Of course, darling. But not here." She cast a disdainful glance at the kitchen. "Let's go to the office." "No, we'll talk right here." Raphael's firm tone surprised everyone. "Zelda and my mother need to hear too." Christine's smile faltered. "About what exactly?" "About the accidents involving my mother. About the adulterated sugar. About the insistence that she approach the pool yesterday." For an instant, Christine's perfect face revealed shock, quickly replaced by an expression of studied confusion. "What are you talking about, darling?" "What adulterated sugar? I'm worried about you. You seem stressed." Raphael remained firm. "Zelda showed me the evidence, Christine. And I know that Dr. Victor Thorne is also aware of the situation." The attorney's name caused a visible reaction. Christine straightened up, the mask of sweetness completely disappearing. "So the old woman and the maid ran to cry on your shoulder, inventing stories to separate us. Don't you see what's happening, Raphael? Your mother never accepted me. She manipulates you, wants to control everything, including the company that you made grow. My mother has always been my greatest support, Christine. And never in 45 years has she lied to me. And me, I'm your wife. I'm by your side, building our future." Christine alternated between anger and false vulnerability. "All I did was try to modernize this house, take care of your mother's health, who is clearly confused and senile. Dr. Anthony ruled out any cognitive problems. Doctors make mistakes. Don't you see how she's manipulating the situation?" Raphael observed his wife intently, as if seeing her for the first time. Her exaggerated gestures, her calculated tone, the way her eyes remained cold while her words overflowed with false emotion. How had he not noticed before? "Why were you so interested in the company's shares, Christine?" The question caught her by surprise. "What? The shares? You've been asking about them from the beginning. Pressuring my mother to transfer them to my name. Because it's natural. You manage everything. Your mother only holds the shares out of stubbornness, to maintain control over you." Raphael then realized the true nature of his marriage. It wasn't love that had united Christine to him, but a meticulously orchestrated plan. He felt simultaneously foolish and furious. "Christine, I want you to leave this house now." "What?" She seemed genuinely shocked. "Take what you need for a few days and leave. My attorney will contact you to discuss the terms of the separation." Christine's face contorted into a mask of fury. "You can't do this. I'm your wife. A wife who tried to harm my mother, who manipulated situations, who put her life at risk." Raphael remained calm, though inside he felt a whirlwind of emotions. "There's no turning back, Christine. It's over. For a moment it seemed she would lunge at Raphael. Her eyes gleamed with pure rage, her hands trembled. Then suddenly she composed herself. "You will regret this, Raphael. No one humiliates me this way." With one last look of disdain at Mrs. Teresa and Zelda, Christine spun on her heels and left, her furious footsteps echoing down the hallway. A heavy silence fell over the kitchen. Mrs. Teresa approached her son, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I'm so sorry, my son. I'm the one who's sorry, Mother, for not realizing it sooner, for bringing this danger into our home." Zelda, discreet as always, withdrew to give the family privacy, but not before exchanging a meaningful look with Mrs. Teresa. The nightmare seemed to be over, but everyone knew Christine would not give up easily. Christine did not leave the Albury mansion without making a scene. As she went up to the bedroom she shared with Raphael, she dragged suitcases and intentionally broke objects. When the family driver took her away, she held her chin high, her sunglasses hiding eyes that shed not a single tear. "To the Ritz-Carlton, Los Angeles," she ordered dryly, choosing one of the most luxurious hotels in the city. Alone in the presidential suite, Christine finally allowed the mask to fall. She threw a vase against the wall, screaming in frustration. So much planning, so much dedication, for everything to collapse because of an old woman and an intrusive maid. After calming down, she sat at the room's desk and opened her laptop. Not all was lost. She still had connections. She still had the Albury name temporarily. She still knew company secrets. She began writing emails, making calls. Her plan B began to take shape. At the Albury mansion, the atmosphere was one of tense relief. Raphael spent the rest of the day in contact with Dr. Victor Thorne, reporting the events and planning the next legal steps. "We'll need temporary security," Raphael commented to his mother during dinner, lovingly prepared by Zelda. "I don't trust Christine to back off easily." "Son, do you really think it's necessary?" Mrs. Teresa asked, though deep down she knew the answer. "Absolutely. I'll also change all company passwords, review any contracts she might have had access to, and—" Raphael hesitated. "I will need to check if she tried to alter any documents related to the shares." Mrs. Teresa nodded. "Augustus was always meticulous with documentation. Dr. Thorne has copies of everything in his office. Still, I want to check. I don't underestimate Christine's capacity to cause damage." Raphael sighed, running a hand through his hair. "How could I have been so blind, Mother? I, who was always proud of my ability to judge people." "The heart has its reasons that reason knows nothing of, son," Mrs. Teresa quoted Pascal. "Besides, she was extremely skilled in the art of deception. Don't blame yourself." That night, as the house finally rested in relative peace, Raphael remained in his office, reviewing documents and reflecting on his failed marriage. One question tormented him: who truly was Christine Montgomery? The next morning, during breakfast, Zelda timidly approached. "Mr. Raphael, may I share something I've been thinking about?" "Of course, Zelda, what is it?" "It's about Mrs. Christine. I always found it strange how she suddenly appeared in your life, already knowing so much about you, about the company, about the family." The employee hesitated. "It seemed almost planned." Raphael frowned. "What do you mean?" "Well, do you remember Silas's nephew who works in technology? He always says that nowadays it's possible to find out a lot about important people on the internet. I thought that maybe Mrs. Christine researched you beforehand, chose you as a target." The suggestion hit Raphael like a revelation. Christine indeed seemed to know exactly how to please him from the first meeting, as if she had studied his tastes and preferences. "Zelda, can you contact Silas's nephew? I need his help." Julian, Silas's nephew, was a 28-year-old computer science graduate specializing in digital security. He arrived at the Albury mansion that same afternoon, carrying a laptop and an air of professionalism that contrasted with his casual look. "Mr. Albury, it's a pleasure to meet you. My uncle Silas always spoke very highly of you." "The pleasure is mine, Julian. And please call me Raphael." In the office, Raphael explained the situation. He wanted to know more about Christine's past, to verify if she really was who she claimed to be, to discover if there was a pattern of previous behavior. "I can certainly help." Julian nodded, already typing on his laptop. "Do you have her date of birth? Places she lived previously? Any detail can be useful." Raphael provided what he knew, realizing with discomfort how little it was. Christine always evaded questions about her past, creating smokescreens with stories of international travels and glamorous experiences. While Julian worked, Raphael received a call from one of his vice presidents. "Raphael, we have a problem. An important client received an email supposedly from you, canceling a major contract. But we didn't send anything." "Christine," Raphael murmured, feeling his stomach sink. "She must have access to my corporate email." After resolving the emergency, Raphael returned to the office where Julian continued his digital investigation. The young man had an intrigued expression. "I found something interesting, Raphael. The Miss Christine Montgomery, you know. Well, she wasn't always Christine Montgomery." "What do you mean?" "Her birth name is Claudia Miller. She legally changed it to Christine Montgomery about 10 years ago." Julian turned the screen to show official documents, and before that she was involved in some curious incidents. The subsequent discoveries left Raphael stunned. Before becoming Christine, Claudia Miller had married a real estate businessman in San Francisco. The man, 25 years older, died mysteriously after a domestic accident. Although there were no formal accusations, the police kept the case open for months. The widow inherited a considerable fortune, which mysteriously evaporated in a few years. After that, she disappeared for a while, reappearing with a new identity in Los Angeles, Julian explained. She worked for some consulting firms, always close to senior executives. There were rumors, internal processes, but nothing that reached formal justice. "She's been planning this for years," Raphael concluded, feeling physically ill. "She studied my profile, created a personality she knew would attract me, waited for the right opportunity to approach me." "And that's not all," Julian continued. "I found records of a shell company registered 6 months ago, shortly after your wedding. It's called CMR Consulting. The initials, Christine Montgomery and Raphael completed. She was preparing a plan B from the beginning." At that moment, Dr. Victor Thorne arrived at the mansion, bringing more disturbing news. "Raphael, we reviewed access to the company's systems. Christine tried to alter documents related to the shares, but our security system prevented it. However, she copied confidential information, contracts, client lists, projects in development. We need to act quickly," Raphael decided. "I will request a precautionary measure to prevent her from using this information." "I've already prepared the documentation," the attorney replied, "and I strongly suggest we add a personal restraining order, prohibiting her from approaching this house or Mrs. Teresa." While the men discussed legal strategies, Mrs. Teresa remained on the veranda, observing the garden. Zelda approached silently. "Are you all right, Mrs. Teresa?" "I'm thinking of Augustus, Zelda." The elderly woman smiled sadly. "He always said we should be cautious with whom we trust, but never let distrust prevent us from loving. I fear Raphael will never trust anyone again after this. Mr. Raphael is strong like you. Mrs. Teresa, he will overcome it." At the luxury hotel, Christine received a visit from a discreet-looking man. Charles Mason, a retired private investigator, had been hired to monitor the Albury family even before the wedding. "What did you find?" she asked, pouring him a drink. "They've hired private security, and a technology specialist was there today. An employee's nephew." Christine smiled bitterly. "So they're investigating my past. Took them long enough, didn't it? I also intercepted communications with Dr. Victor Thorne's office. They're preparing legal measures against you." "Expected." Christine seemed strangely calm. "And the information I asked for about the Aspen property?" "I got it. The Aspen house is in Mrs. Teresa's name, a direct inheritance from her father. It was never incorporated into Albury Tech's assets." Christine smiled, a calculating gleam in her eyes. "Interesting. Raphael mentioned that house several times with such affection. It seems to be a sentimental treasure for the family. What do you intend to do?" "Let's just say I always have a plan C, Charles." Christine opened her laptop, showing scanned documents. "And this one involves exploring emotional, not financial, weaknesses." The next day, while Raphael was at the office and Mrs. Teresa was resting, the mansion's doorbell rang. Zelda answered, facing a court officer. "Delivery for Mrs. Teresa Cavendish of Albury." "A court officer?" Mrs. Teresa questioned when Zelda handed her the sealed envelope. "What could this be?" With trembling hands, the elderly woman opened the document and paled as she read its contents. It was a court notification regarding the Aspen property, the family's country house that had belonged to the Cavendishes for 3 generations. According to the document, Christine Cavendish of Albury, as Raphael's wife, was requesting a forced audit of the family's assets, alleging that the house might have been acquired with company funds and therefore be part of the couple's common assets. "This is absurd," exclaimed Mrs. Teresa. "That house belonged to my father. Augustus renovated it as a 30th wedding anniversary gift. It never had anything to do with the company." "She's trying to hit where it hurts," Zelda commented, indignant. "She knows how much that house means to you." Mrs. Teresa immediately called her son, who returned to the mansion as soon as he received the news. Examining the documents, Raphael felt a cold fury grow within him. "This is pure malice, Mother." His voice trembled with contained anger. "She knows that house holds our family's most precious memories. She has no real interest in the property. She just wants to hurt us. What will we do, son?" "I'll call Dr. Thorne right now." Raphael took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "We have all the deeds, all the records. That house never had any link to Albury Tech. We'll contest this immediately." While Raphael spoke on the phone with the attorney, Mrs. Teresa leafed through an old photo album. Images of past summers in Aspen, birthdays, family Christmases, all celebrated in that stone house surrounded by flowering gardens. "Your father loved that house," she commented when Raphael ended the call. "He used to say it was our refuge from the world. And it will continue to be, Mother. I promise." Dr. Victor Thorne arrived 2 hours later, bringing with him a young assistant who carried several folders. "This is a typical provocation," the attorney explained, after analyzing the notification. "Christine is testing our reactions, seeing how far she can go, and probably trying to buy time." "Time for what?" Raphael questioned. "To organize her next move. People like her never attack without a secondary plan." The attorney adjusted his glasses. "Fortunately, the documentation for the Aspen house is impeccable. I have copies of everything in the office. The property is clearly separated from the company's assets, with registration prior to Albury Tech's foundation. So we can easily contest it?" "Yes, but I suggest a broader approach." Dr. Thorne gestured to his assistant, who opened one of the folders. "Based on the evidence Zelda collected about the accidents involving Mrs. Teresa and the discoveries about Christine's past, I've prepared a legal counter-offensive, a protective order for Mrs. Teresa, a restraining order against Christine, and a lawsuit for attempted asset fraud." Raphael nodded, impressed by the family attorney's efficiency. "Do whatever is necessary, Dr. Thorne. I want Christine as far away from my family as possible." "And what about the divorce?" Mrs. Teresa asked, always practical. "We are already preparing the initial petition," the attorney replied. "Given the circumstances, we have grounds for annulment due to bad faith and concealment of essential information before marriage. The fact that she changed her identity and omitted her past is a strong point in our favor." While the family focused on the legal strategy, Christine did not remain inactive. In her luxury hotel suite, she met with a middle-aged man, gray-haired and impeccably dressed. "Richard, I need you to be more aggressive in your approach," she instructed. Richard Parker was known in business circles as an expert in hostile takeover operations. "I want to identify every vulnerability of Albury Tech. We've already started mapping, Christine." Richard adjusted his tie. "There's a branch in San Jose that has some fiscal vulnerabilities, and we've identified 2 major clients who can be persuaded to reconsider their contracts." "Excellent," Christine smiled. "And that information about the international expansion project? We gained partial access, enough to cause doubts among investors if used well." Christine's plan became clear. If she couldn't gain control of the company through Raphael, she would try to destabilize it enough to force a sale or merger. And in that chaos, she would find a way to extract value. The next morning, Raphael arrived at the Albury Tech office to find his executive team in a state of agitation. 3 major clients had received distorted information about alleged security problems on the company's platform, and an important international investor had called, concerned about rumors of fiscal irregularities. "It's Christine," Raphael concluded, gathering his directors. "She's trying to create a crisis of confidence. We need to contact every client and investor personally. Show total transparency. Open our books if necessary. As the team mobilized, Raphael's cell phone rang. It was Julian, the technology specialist. "Raphael, I detected an attempt to access the company's main server. The digital signature seems to come from a device Christine used." "She doesn't give up," Raphael murmured. "Can you reinforce our security?" "I'm on it." "And there's something else. I found an interesting pattern in her financial activities before the wedding. Large transfers from an account in the Cayman Islands to several smaller accounts in the US. It looks like a money laundering operation." The revelation left Raphael perplexed. How much did he really know the woman he had married? While Raphael struggled to protect the company, Mrs. Teresa faced her own battle at home. The stress of recent days had affected her health, and Dr. Anthony had been called for a home consultation. "Your blood pressure is a bit high, Mrs. Teresa," the doctor commented after the examination. "Nothing alarming, but you need rest and tranquility." "Tranquility is what I lack most lately, doctor," she replied with a tired smile. "Zelda briefly told me what's happening." "I'm so sorry for all this." "You knew Augustus. He always said we should face storms with our heads held high." Dr. Anthony smiled. "I remember well. An upright man, your husband." After prescribing blood pressure medication, the doctor added, "Perhaps it would be good for you to spend a few days away in a calmer environment. Do you have somewhere to go? Our house in Aspen would be perfect, but ironically, that's precisely what we're fighting for now." After the doctor left, Mrs. Teresa sat on the veranda observing the garden. The fountain she loved so much seemed less vibrant, the flowers less colorful. Christine's shadow still loomed over the mansion. Zelda approached with a cup of chamomile tea. "The doctor is right, Mrs. Teresa. You need to get away from all this for a while." "And leave Raphael facing everything alone? Never. Your son is strong. And you're not alone. You have Dr. Thorne, you have the company team, you have loyal friends." The elderly woman sighed. "You know, Zelda, what hurts me most isn't Christine's betrayal. It's seeing how she affected my son. Raphael was always so confident, so secure. Now I see doubt in his eyes." At the end of the day, when Raphael returned, he had an expression of exhaustion. He sat beside his mother in the living room. "How was your day, son?" "So difficult. Christine is trying to harm the company in every possible way. She spread rumors, tried to access our systems, contacted clients." He ran a hand through his hair. "But we are responding to every attack. The team is united. The main clients reaffirmed confidence after we talked openly. Augustus would be proud of you, Raphael." "Oh, Mother, if he were here, this never would have happened. Father would have seen through Christine at the first meeting. Don't underestimate your own intuition, son. You perceived the truth when it mattered." Raphael's phone rang, interrupting the conversation. It was Dr. Victor Thorne. "Raphael, we have an important development. The judge accepted our request for a protective order. Christine is officially prohibited from approaching your mother or the mansion." "Great news, Doctor. And there's more. Based on the evidence presented, the judge also granted an injunction preventing Christine from using any information or documents from Albury Tech. If she violates that order, she will face criminal consequences." Raphael hung up, feeling a slight relief for the first time in days. "We got the protective measures, Mother. Christine cannot approach you or the house." "And what about the Aspen house?" "Dr. Thorne is confident. The documentation is solid, and the judge has already shown receptivity to our position." That night, the Albury mansion seemed to breathe more freely. Raphael, Mrs. Teresa, and Zelda dined together, talking about happy memories, plans for the future, as if trying to exorcise Christine's toxic presence. After dinner, Raphael retired to the office to answer some urgent emails. He was concentrating when he noticed movement in the garden, visible through the window. A slender silhouette moved furtively among the shadows, approaching the house. Alarmed, Raphael activated the security system and contacted the security guard positioned at the gate. Within minutes, a perimeter search was initiated. "Mr. Raphael, we found this near Mrs. Teresa's bedroom window." The security guard handed him a small package. Opening it, Raphael found an old golden key, the key to the Aspen house, along with a note. "This is just the beginning. You will lose everything." The message was clear. Christine was not willing to back down regardless of court orders. The discovery of the key and the threatening note was the last straw. Raphael immediately convened an emergency meeting in the mansion's library, with Dr. Victor Thorne, Julian, the technology specialist, and Roger Sampson, the new head of security hired to protect the family, in attendance. "This is clearly a violation of the protective order," Dr. Thorne stated, examining the note left by Christine. "I will report it to the judge immediately. With this, we can strengthen our case and possibly obtain more severe measures." "What worries me is how she managed to enter the property," observed Roger, a former federal agent with a firm demeanor. "I will reinforce the perimeter with 2 more men and install additional motion sensors." "And what about digital security?" Raphael asked, turning to Julian. "I've implemented advanced protocols at the company and here at the mansion," the young technician replied. "But Christine seems to have considerable resources and connections with specialists. We need to be vigilant." Mrs. Teresa, who had been listening in silence, finally spoke. "I fear Christine won't stop. She seems consumed by revenge and greed." "You are right, Mrs. Teresa," Dr. Thorne agreed. "People with Christine's psychological profile rarely back down. They escalate until they get what they want, or until they are completely stopped. Then we need to stop her completely," Raphael concluded with renewed determination. "Not just defend ourselves, but expose who she really is." The strategy that formed in the next 24 hours was bold. While Dr. Thorne advanced with legal measures, Raphael organized a transparent communication strategy. He called a press conference to announce Albury Tech's latest results, opening the company's books to prove its financial soundness. He invited Mrs. Teresa to participate, demonstrating her lucidity and presence of mind to journalists. "Unfortunately, we recently faced a delicate personal situation that has generated unfounded rumors," Raphael declared at the end of the corporate presentation. "My ex-wife, Christine, with whom I am in the process of divorce, has been spreading false information about our family and company. Out of respect for privacy, I will not go into details, but I want to make it clear. Albury Tech is stronger than ever, and my mother, Mrs. Teresa, continues to be the lucid and inspiring matriarch of our family." The strategy had an immediate effect. Newspapers and news portals highlighted the company's transparency and Mrs. Teresa's impressive presence, as she answered journalists' questions with the same eloquence she had shown in decades of teaching. Christine, who followed the press conference on television from her suite, felt her plan begin to crumble. The insinuations she had spread about financial problems fell apart in the face of the solid numbers presented. Mrs. Teresa's image, articulate and firm, destroyed suggestions of senility. Furious, she summoned Richard Parker, her hostile acquisition specialist. "We need to accelerate the plan," she demanded. "Use all the contacts we have. I want Albury Tech vulnerable in 48 hours." What Christine didn't know was that Richard was no longer fully committed to her cause. The revelations about her past had reached him through mutual friends with Julian. Concerned about the legal implications and his own reputation, Richard began to reconsider his position. "Christine, perhaps it's time to retreat," he suggested cautiously. "Raphael proved the company is solid. The judge strengthened the measures against you, and now information about your past is emerging." "My past?" Christine's face paled. "What are you talking about?" "There are rumors about your first husband, about other relationships. People are connecting the dots." "Who is spreading this?" Christine demanded, her voice trembling with fury. "No one is spreading it. These are public records being discovered. Christine, or rather Claudia, you cannot erase the past. That was the last time Richard worked for Christine. Upon leaving the hotel, he went directly to Dr. Victor Thorne's office, offering to testify about Christine's attempts to sabotage Albury Tech. The following days brought an avalanche of twists. The judge responsible for the case, impressed by the new evidence and Richard's testimony, issued an even more restrictive order against Christine. The divorce process advanced quickly, with the court recognizing the annulment of the marriage due to bad faith. The press, which had initially treated the case as another high-profile divorce, began investigating Christine Claudia's past. Reports emerged about suspicious patterns in her previous relationships, her change of identity, the mysterious financial flows from offshore accounts. Cornered, Christine made a last, desperate attempt. She appeared unannounced at the gates of the Albury mansion, demanding to speak with Raphael, causing a scene that attracted the attention of neighbors. "You're going to listen to me, Raphael, she shouted, as the security guards blocked her entry. "All of this is a misunderstanding. They're manipulating you against me." Raphael, alerted by Roger, decided to face the situation head-on. He approached the gate, maintaining a safe distance. "Enough, Christine, or should I say, Claudia. I know everything about you now. About your first husband, about the other men you tried to manipulate, about the money in the Cayman Islands. They're lies, slander. I'm being persecuted." Christine alternated between fury and false vulnerability, a performance that once would have convinced Raphael, but which he now clearly saw for what it was. "The only person doing the persecuting here is you," he replied calmly. "You violated court orders, tried to sabotage my company, spread lies about my mother. And before that you carefully planned to approach me, studied my life, pretended to be someone you weren't. I loved you, Raphael. Everything I did was for love." Christine's voice faltered, a calculated tear rolling down her perfect face. "No, Christine, you never loved me. You loved what I represented, access to money, power, status, and you were willing to hurt my mother to get it." At that moment, a police car approached, called by Roger. 2 officers exited the vehicle. "Ms. Christine Montgomery?" one of the officers asked. "We have an arrest warrant for violation of a protective order and stalking." As Christine was led away, still protesting her innocence, Raphael felt a mixture of relief and sadness. The nightmare finally seemed to be ending, but it had left deep scars. The next morning, the New York Times front page read, "Luxury con artist, the double life of Christine Montgomery." The article detailed her history of suspicious relationships and fraud, including information about reopened investigations into her first husband's death. At the Albury mansion, a special breakfast was served on the sunny veranda. Raphael, Mrs. Teresa, and Zelda silently celebrated the end of that dark chapter. "You know, son," Mrs. Teresa said as she enjoyed her coffee with milk, served in the porcelain cup she loved so much, "your father used to say that true crises reveal who we truly are. And what did this crisis reveal about us, Mother? That we are stronger together, that our values remain solid even when tested, and that the truth, no matter how painful, always finds its way." Raphael smiled, covering his mother's hand with his own. "You're right, as always. And how about we go to Aspen next weekend? The house is waiting for us." "I'd love to, son." Mrs. Teresa looked at the garden where the fountain once again sparkled under the morning sun. "It's time to rekindle the lights of that place." On the terrace, watching the scene, Zelda smiled discreetly. The storm had passed, and though there was damage to repair, the family she had served and loved for so many years remained intact, perhaps even stronger than before. "Mrs. Teresa," Raphael called, "I remembered something Father always said. Evil may be cunning, but it is never patient. Good persists even when all seems lost." "Your father was a wise man, Raphael," the elderly woman replied, looking fondly at her son, who so resembled Augustus. "And you are more like him than you imagine." In the following weeks, life gradually returned to its rhythm. Albury Tech fully recovered from the sabotage attempts, even strengthening its market position after the transparency demonstrated by Raphael. The Aspen House had its documentation confirmed as exclusive family property, without any link to the company. The lawsuit against Christine continued its course. In addition to the accusations related to the Albury family, old investigations were reopened, and her empire of lies completely collapsed. On a Sunday afternoon, 6 months after the events, the family finally returned to the Aspen House. Mrs. Teresa, walking through the flowering garden with Raphael's help, seemed rejuvenated. "You know, son, I learned something important from all this." "What, Mother?" "That true love doesn't hurt, it protects. It doesn't destroy, it builds." She smiled, watching the mountains in the distance. "One day, you will find someone who will love you for the man you are, not for what you possess. And when that day comes, your heart will know how to recognize the difference." Raphael nodded, embracing his mother warmly. The future still held many challenges, but they would face them together, with wisdom strengthened by the storms of the past. Inside the house, Zelda arranged the final details for afternoon tea, smiling as she heard the harmonious voices of mother and son in the garden. Loyalty and true love had prevailed over ambition and cruelty, and there was no sweeter victory than that. End of story. Dear listeners, we hope the story of Mrs. Teresa, Raphael, and the cunning Christine has touched your hearts. To follow more exciting narratives like this, we have prepared a special playlist with stories that explore family ties and the masks that often hide true intentions. Find it by clicking the link to your left. If you enjoyed this journey through the corridors of the Albury Mansion, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Every day we bring unique stories that explore the complexity of human relationships. Share your opinions on the outcome of this plot in the comments. Will Raphael find a new love? How will Mrs. Teresa continue her life after this experience? We await you in our next story.